Stephen, looking back to the 3rd of November, we lifted the trophy in Tala. We also said goodbye to two Rovers legends in Alan and Ronan. Bittersweet but fitting end.
Yeah, incredible way for both to leave the football club. Both this word gets banded around an awful lot in football. Both are legends of this football club, and I'm sure history will show that. But like I said, you can't have a better way to go out for both of them. Ronan to lift the fourth league as the captain, and Alan, in my opinion, is the best keeper I've seen in the league, and anyway, probably the best of all time. And I know there's been some top keepers, but he's been really high level for a long time, So, um, yeah, if there was a way for both of them to go out, and you could write the perfect ending to the story, I'm sure that would be it. So, a brilliant night all round for the club, but especially for Alan and Ronan and the families. I think the send off that the club gave them was incredible, and like I said, it's a fairy tale ending for both. So, yeah, special night.
It was around this time your family received some good news and that Josh was well enough to travel to America for a much deserved family holiday. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, we had booked to go the previous year, but obviously with Josh in the height of the treatment, it wasn't possible, which is understandable, obviously. Um, but thankfully the hospital gave us the go ahead to go away in December, which was brilliant for us, and especially for Josh and his brother and sister to take his mind off what he's been going through and give them a little break. So we take holidays for granted. So it was special to get away and to see him just enjoying his time with his brother and sister, and yeah, that was special, and we're thankful to the hospital for allowing us to do that.
Glenn, Stephen Mack and yourself, what is it about that trio that works so well?
I think we just get each other. We understand what uh, each other is thinking, what we want to do, where we want to go. We all think about the game differently. We all have strong opinions on the game, which is healthy. I think we have to remember that myself, Glenn, and Stephen didn't know each other before we took up the positions at this football club. So it's a fairly young relationship with the three of us, but it's one that I'm sure will last forever beyond football. And the two special people, they've both had trauma in their own lives, um, and I think we can connect with that with each other. We understand that. We can talk about that, and it helps. But like I said, when it comes to football, both are really clever football people. They uh, they see the game differently to me, which helps and is healthy. But they both have that drive and passion to be the best at what we do. I think you look at, we've all had different playing careers. Stephen's played at the highest level. Glenn was captain of his club in England from a very young age, and I retired very young. So we all have different paths, different stories, and combined, I think it's very powerful.
Winning four league titles in a row, how do you keep the hunger going in the group and I suppose to stop an element of complacency setting in?
I think once you sense that or you see the small details slipping, um, you got to change. If you can't change the people, you have to change the people, and I think that's something we always live by. And we always ask ourselves, would we do it on year one? And if the answer is no, well then we don't do it now. What we've won is forgotten about for us in this group. It's forgotten about in the staff room. It's forgotten about with the players. Uh, I understand it will be a big thing for people to look back on in years to come, and that's going to be nice when hopefully we're all older and have grandchildren and we're sitting down talking about it. But right now, focus on the next one. In football, you can't stand still. You can't think what you've done is enough. You have to keep trying to improve and get better every day. That's us as staff and as players and as a group. And like I said, as soon as you feel the small detail is slipping, or whether that be from staff members or players, well then it's time for change. And yeah, and we all check each other on that daily basis. But I get a sense from this group that they're hungry for more. I think we feel that we can do a lot more than what we did last year, and we'll be able to try and improve that this year.
Your own coaching philosophy and development, has it evolved much since you were appointed in 2016?
Yeah, I think so. I think you have to keep evolving. I think if you feel what you've always done is the right way to do things, you're standing still, and the game evolves so quickly and moves so quickly that you can't afford for that mindset to happen. I think you've always got to be looking to improve. No matter how small you think it is, the detail that you can improve on, you got to look to improve. And like I said, we try and do that every year, every day. And if you come away from that mindset, you're in trouble. When I started out in management, I was told if you don't embrace change, you will be the change, and we try and stick to that. You have to embrace change. You have to be open to new ideas. You have to look at where the game is going, the trends of the game, where it's been, where it's going, and where it currently is. And you have to keep assessing that on a daily basis. And like I said, if you think how you coached, managed, prepared for games 5-6 years ago is still the right way to do it now, well then you're standing still, and the game will quickly pass you by.
Are there any books or podcasts or anything like that you'd read in your off time, or are you trying to switch off from football?
No, I'm always reading. Podcasts not so much. If I don't think you get the real people in a lot of podcasts, and I understand that because a lot of them are still in the sport and don't want to give too much away. So some of them can be good as well, but in the main, it's reading books. Yeah, I love reading about the mind and trying to understand the mind and how it works, and I believe the mind is the next frontier in football. So I think it's very, very important to understand how people think and how they act and why they behave and like they do. So yeah, really interested in that side of it.
Pico at AFCON, you haven't had Pico here for pre-season, but looking at him on the telly, he doesn't look out of place at all, does he?
No, I don't think we should be surprised. I don't think we are surprised. The player, staff, or people who are in Tallaght Stadium every second week, I think we know the level that you can play at. We've seen it now for quite a number of years, and Pico's the type. The bigger the challenge, the bigger he will be, and I think he did us all extremely proud when he was away. I think he did his family proud. I think he represented the league incredibly well on and off the pitch. He's a credit to any professional out there, Pico. And if there's any young kids or players out there that are doubting if they can have a career in football, a professional career, Pico's the man to look at. He came here as a part-time player, and now he's the most capped player ever out of the league, which is incredible. And that's all down to him and his hard work and his mindset of wanting to get better every day. Incredible person. For me, an incredible player, obviously. And hopefully we have many more years at this club. We'll miss him for the first few weeks. He's having a well-deserved break. He hasn't had time to shut down at all over the off-season. So he was in on Monday, and we've given him a few weeks off. So we probably won't see Pico back until sometime in March. But look, I think it's important that mentally and physically he switches off and gets away from us all, and then when he's back, he's ready to go.
The transfer business, we have obviously some loan extensions, and we've also signed 4 new players. How happy overall are you with the recruitment in the off-season?
Yeah, we're really, really happy. I think everybody that we identified, we got. So you can't ask for much more than that. I think Stephen has worked extremely hard in dealing with these players and agents and everything that goes with that. And the clubs, obviously, especially when it's a loan, it can be very complicated in how it happens, because obviously the club has all the say in what happens, and you've got to be very respectful of that and understand that it's going to take time. So that can be very complicated, but Stephen's worked extremely hard to make sure we've got all our targets, and unfortunately we lost Nash last week, but other than that the group is really strong, and yeah, we're really happy with what we have.
Your hopes for the season ahead, Stephen. Last season, we obviously won the league title, went out early in the cup, and European campaign was probably a little bit disappointing from our point of view. But what are your targets or your goals for this season ahead?
Well, our long-term target is to be better than what we were last year. I think we spoke earlier about keeping that hunger. We have to try and be better than what we were last year. That means domestically, try and be better. In the league, concede less goals, score more, accumulate more points, go further. Obviously, in the FAI Cup, we want to try and win that if possible, and obviously get back to where we were a couple of years back in Europe. And that's difficult. You're playing in cup competitions, one bad day and you're out. And so that can be difficult. But I felt in the FAI Cup last year up in Dundalk we were excellent, and the other day we win the game quite comfortable. In Europe we weren't good of our both legs against Breidablik. We got punished against a good side, and that happens, like I said, cup competitions. But we'll be trying to obviously be better on all fronts this year, and that means trying to go further in the cup and do better in Europe. So that'll be the aim.
The league across the board, teams look to have strengthened as they do. Do you think this year, on paper, it's a more competitive league than last year with the transfers the other teams have made?
Look, we'll see. I think every year there's hype about certain teams and certain clubs, and teams make signings, and that's the same in every league throughout the world. So everything can look great on paper and great when you're signing players. It's different when it's day to day, week to week, and you're in the midst of a long season. And we've seen this now the last few years. We don't get carried away with off seasons or like I said, who people have signed, who they haven't signed. We focus on what we do. We focus on us being better. If the league will be more competitive, time will tell. Like you said, paper suggests it will be, but leagues aren't won on paper, so we'll see come November.